Good afternoon, Lynette Oxley here for TACSHAC Tactical TV. I'm here at the QuarterMaster with Craig Gadd. We've known each other since about 2010, I think,
correct, yes.
And we've been on the shooting range many times together. It's very nice to have you this afternoon.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Craig.
Sure. A father of two beautiful daughters, happily married for, I think, 1995. And I love my kids, love my family. They mean the world to me. And I've got a huge interest in firearms. But specifically, I've always seen firearms as much fun and enjoyment you can have with them. You can also use them for self-defense, which in my case, it proved to be true ultimately. So I suppose all those years shooting downrange must have helped somewhere. I'm a deacon in the Catholic, ordained deacon in the Catholic Church. I'm a member of our local community AfriForum. I run the QuarterMaster. I was asked to start this in about 2013. And also run what we call as a QRF, a Quick Reaction Force, for one of our clients. We would help them if they need close protection, escorting some of the top brass, so to speak, protecting their stores. That was a really interesting part of my life. Dealing with unions and all the nonsense that goes on.
It's difficult.
It's difficult.
And you have to keep your calm.
Yeah, the client does not want to hear in the news or something that you've blixened a whole lot of people on their property. They don't want that.
No.
So most of the time you just smile and wave, and you have to make sure that these people go away, that they can rant and rave, but ultimately they can't get away with what they want to. So yeah, it just all came together nicely in this sort of job, and I started sports adventure shooting with Steve Tucker.
Yes.
Also around about 2010, I think it was. It's not that the usual South African thing where, oh, I'm not happy with this, so I'm going to go start my own church shooting sport or whatever the case might be. I just felt that there was a need to get a bit more sort of down and dirty when it came to training.
Yeah.
But stuff that you wouldn't be able to do on a sort of a normal shooting range.
Yeah.
You could get kicked off if you'd be actually downright dangerous to do it. So we tried to step up the game there, and it's grown on since then, and we've got some legal battles coming up. We applied for accreditation for sports adventure shooting, and they've done their best to ignore us, whether it's through intent or just that's the way the system works. I don't know, but I do think that it's only small, but I think there's a place for it. And why can't we run around with our rifles in the veld and do some stuff that you get dirty and that sort of thing? And you have a lot of fun, you make awesome friends.
It is.
And
I think I've done the level 1 many years ago. Exactly. But it is a lot of fun. It takes time though. It's a little bit far out, but it's a lovely day out to spend with friends, and you also have family days on a regular basis.
So, Lynette, when we first met, we did that each one teach one at, I think it was Rand Waterboard.
Yes.
We took the one primary school teacher shooting.
I could remember that, yes.
And there the idea was just each one of us take somebody else and you teach them the basics.
Yeah.
And you start with safety and all that sort of thing. And it's like suddenly all these people, this is a lot of fun, and all this negative stuff about gun owners being of a certain haircut and skin color.
It really doesn't matter. Steve, I've known Steve for a long time as well. Steve Tucker, yes. He's absolutely awesome. He runs a rifle.
He knows his stuff.
And he's fantastic. He's that game ranger person that can talk your head off. But he's absolutely awesome. And I've actually looked at him and other people teaching youngsters and people that's never been in front of a gun to actually be safe and enjoy it.
I've never seen anybody operate a bolt as fast as Steve.
The same, yeah. I've never seen
I wouldn't tell him that, but yeah.
He runs it like a semi-auto. He really does.
Especially a 375.
Yeah, he's absolutely fantastic. So when did you start, when did you get your first gun?
Yeah, when you've been EDCing for a while and your first EDC gun is a 357 Magnum with a 6-inch barrel.
Shame.
Yeah, it's like everything just gets better from there on in. It was
It
a
does.
Lama Komachi.
Again, shame.
Yeah,
Sorry. But it is what you had.
exactly, and you know, you're ignorant, and so I think somehow you always start a bit from a point of view of ignorance. There's so much more resources online and that nowadays where you can go to. Before it was like the Magnum magazine, which is great.
Absolutely.
But then you're a youngster and you need a gun, and this one comes up at a good price, so you take it. And then you get a holster, and it works. Then I've got a Vector SP1, and literally, I bought it from Dion's in those days. And I took it on, it was like a lay-by.
Yeah.
And the day that I finished paying it off, I went and collected it. That night I was hijacked. 3 guys with AKs. So then you float around and all that. And then one day, I walked into a gun shop in Edenvale, and they said, here's a gun, here's 10 rounds of ammo. And it could have been any gun, I suppose, but it was the Glock, which was fortuitous. And I've been carrying a Glock 17. I broke my one slide because I was just so stupid. I never ever serviced it. Guns break, they need to be serviced. So then I managed to, with the help of burnout agencies, Terek Nondia, managed to help me with another slide. And then eventually bought another Glock through them. And then with this recent shooting that I went through, the cops still have my gun with a very expensive doctor sight on the back of it. And I believe it left a seam with blood on it. So I'm pretty sure the plastic's fine. I just don't know what the metal's going to do. Because I believe blood is very corrosive.
It is. You could probably ceracate it or do something with it if you have to.
No, I'm just worried, you know, what happens with the sight? Is it going to get scratched, dinged, just chucked into the back of a safe? So, you know, I was even so frustrated. I thought, should I actually go lay a charge? I'm speaking from pure ignorance now. I've tried to get it back. The policeman has been trying to help me, the investigating officer. He's getting nowhere. So what, can you lay a charge? Like, can I do an insurance claim? And then I lay a charge of theft to the cops? I don't know.
It's a very difficult thing. You must maybe speak to GOSA. Maybe they can also assist and just see what happens. Yeah, I also started with the Glock 36, which is a 45 subcompact. I shoot a 9mm, and guns do break. I have just replaced my sporting gun, which is was a Smith & Wesson M&P core.
Yeah.
It had a crack slide at the breech block, so not replaceable. It will take me like 2 years to get a new slide.
Yeah.
But it had 300,000 rounds through it without being serviced. I know, Paul, you don't want to see Paul's gun. So in any case.
Well,
they do last, but it's better to service them.
Eventually they're going to wear out.
Yeah.
It's just a thing, but somehow, I don't know why. Maybe just because you come from a background where you think, oh, you don't know these things. And it would have been salvaged just to put a recoil spring in, and we would have been good to go for another 50,000.
Now, when I've got the Girls on Fire thing, when we started, most people still say, go for a revolver. It's not a good plan in South African situation, and we'll get to that now, how many shots were fired, etc. Because people think, you know, I even speak to some people in the States, and they still, the sheriffs in the area still say a revolver is a good idea. And yes, you have got speed loaders and stuff like that, but in a real situation in South Africa, a revolver is not going to be the right thing to do.
I agree with you, but sometimes it's all you've got.
If you've, I agree 100%.
So then we've got to sort of respect that. Well, listen, that's all you got, and in the States,
it's better than nothing.
Exactly, it's better than a poke. In the States, you can walk into a shop, buy something else. Yeah, it's like you look at the guy who's got a baby brownie, but that's all that Umi has got.
Yeah.
And you say, all right, Umi, is it working? Have you got ammo? That kind of thing. And you try help the guy. You try let him know the limitations.
Yeah.
Okay. So we must also be careful of saying that just because you don't have the top tier or whatever.
Absolutely.
It's not that easy to get the gear in the first place.
It's very difficult. You have to go through the process.
Yeah,
it can be 2 years, more than 2 years. It's expensive. So yes, what you've got is the gun that you've got.
Up until then.
Absolutely. We've had problems with the recent rioting that people couldn't get the funny calibers, so they couldn't get 40 Smith & Wesson. I couldn't get any 40 Smith & Wesson. 9mm sold out quickly, but you couldn't get 9mm short. You couldn't get all of the other funny calibers. Exactly. I just couldn't get hold of any ammunition. You
sell guns, we don't. We're in the process of applying for a license, and people come in here and they ask me, what should they go for? I say, when you buy a bakkie, you've got two choices. It'll be diesel or petrol. You can then fight about Ford, Toyota, and everything else afterwards.
Yeah.
If you're not going to get the logistical supply,
Yeah.
the space for the gun, and most importantly, the ammo.
Absolutely.
The ammo, 9mm might not be the perfect caliber, but if it's the only one you can get.
And it is, there's spares available, there's ammo available for most of the guns, so it's an easy caliber to go for. What additional training have you done in terms of firearms?
I trained with Arno Barlow.
He's awesome.
He's very good. Arno's, and it was nice because what he was training is, I was thinking like sort of getting off the X, the whole square range mentality. I don't mean to be dismissive of shooting sports. There are good reasons why their range is square and you operate like that. It's a sport, okay? I wanted to break that sort of mold so that I could, what would happen in a real gunfight. So Arno was a great place to start.
Yes.
I've done Adrian Rossley. I did.
Yeah, I've done all of his courses. He's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, tough as nails.
Yes.
And you know, if you're not going to push yourself at these courses, then you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
And Adrian's nice. I think he gets the best out of everybody. He
does.
So I've done the close quarter combat, and we did a CQB with the sports adventure shooting guys a couple of years ago.
And you've got to trust your partner there. There's not, I won't do that with anybody. There's a couple of people.
There were pictures we didn't want out there simply because you were looking past people as they're walking or coming up and down an alleyway kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you're right, the level of trust is, it can be done safely, but don't rock up there the first day with your gun, not a chance.
But he won't even allow you.
No, he won't.
No.
He won't.
So I think I could trust two people. Steve Tucker is one. I will do that, and Paul, my husband. So we shoot together often, so you know what the person is like, and you do need to have that done.
So also we did with Terek Nordier. We did some training there. Rob Pincus came out here a couple of years ago, and while he's over there now, the amount of money we paid and the value that we got from him, I was really disappointed. But you know, like somebody pointed out to me, sometimes what you notice that you're not learning anything. That's also good. Okay, don't do it this way, or don't, or, you know, that kind of thing. So for the amount of money that we paid and the accommodation,
these local people, that's just as good. I've done Bob Vogel and a couple of other people, and I still, the most value I got is from Adrian's courses. It's been absolutely fantastic. You have a wife and two daughters.
That's correct. Yes.
How have you dealt with firearms in the house? They're not very much involved in shooting.
Not too much. You know, you don't want to shove things down their throats and that.
Yeah.
Okay. My wife knew that I was into firearms before we got married, long before we got married, and so she never had a problem with it. When the kids came along, I went through the thing. Okay, I don't want a loaded gun in the house, and there's good reasons for that. But it's also to point out, if you have a swimming pool, you child-proof, you drown-proof the child. You take him to swimming lessons and all that sort of thing. Okay, so at that sort of stage, you're not just going to put the gun next to you on a nightstand or something like that. But you have to teach them that this is a bad thing. And what I did do is I took them to the shooting range once, and I put some spear gold dots through some apples. And you pick up pieces of apple and you say, this is what happens. Okay, and it's loud and all that sort of thing. So they start to get a respect. And even if they would go to somebody else's house and the kids are now, you know, they're inquisitive, that's kids. Yeah. I said, you teach them what to do. It's like Saga taught. You just don't touch, go call an adult, or phone me, something like that. Yeah. And so never ever had a problem with that. And they come to our family days. Yeah. They're good sports and they enjoy it. But, you know, who knows what the future's got. But I'm pretty sure that all of them can pick up the guns if need be.
Because it's always better to have two people in the house or two or three people that can handle a gun, because sometimes you need backup. So Paul calls me his first responder because, they probably, if we're in a situation, they're going to go for him and not for me. And I'm probably have to sort out the situation because of that.
You're exactly right. On the day, it was my wife and my daughters that were the first responders. I think it was my eldest daughter. She came to me and said, "Daddy, what must I do?" And I was sitting up against I pulled myself up against a concrete wall. Yeah. And this is the weirdest thing, Lynette. I'm not trying to blow my trumpet. I'd gone on a 10-day survival course before that. And before I'd taken one of the IFACs we sell, which is for serious bleeding. And I'd taken that up, and now I brought back, and all my gear, as usual, it's just lying all over the place. And I walk out of the room that morning, and I say, Craig, you lazy, what's it? Pack this stuff away, put it back in the car. Yeah. So this morning it all happens. And then now I'm sitting there, and there's lots of blood there. And she says, Daddy, what must I do? I say, my lovey, quickly, go to the room, get that back. She comes, I say, give me the tourniquet. What's a tourniquet? She, just dump out the bag there, and then we could put it on as high as possible.
So maybe we should go back.
Okay.
Let's go back, and then I would like to go a little bit more in detail about what happened. How did it happen?
There's some things that are extremely vivid.
Yeah.
There's other things that were quite confusing. So basically it was a Tuesday morning.
The 6th of October.
There we go, yeah. And it was like 0603.
You remember that exactly?
Well, I went back on the WhatsApps afterwards because I wanted to sort things out in my mind, what exactly happened. And I was waiting for a colleague to arrive, and I've got a nice big roll-up gate, and I thought he's going to be, he's extremely punctual. He'll be here in a couple of minutes. Well, thank you, Lord, he was not punctual that day. He was a couple of minutes late, and because he would have been caught in a crossfire. And not that he couldn't have handled himself, but who knows. So I'm there, and I'm standing at my car.
So it looked like it was a long driveway?
A long driveway with a slight slope up.
Yeah.
And because there's, we just don't have enough space to get JP's car in, and that I sort of cram behind my wife's car, and there's a bit of space where he can come past. And I was standing, if you open your car door and you've got the car body, I was standing in that wedge.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just said my morning prayers, and so my mind was, I was conditioned white, minus $1 million.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was pondering a very deep thought, and I literally turned around. There is somebody I've never met before. He's got a Browning high power. You can recognize just the bob trigger.
Yes.
And you know, the wooden handles and the slim. I got such a fright.
Did he say anything at that stage?
No.
Nothing. No
the
words.
gun's like waving around like this. And
how close was he? Meter, half a meter, or on top of you? Touching each other.
Okay. So the gun is here at my groin. And
you can feel that usually. If a gun is pointing in your stomach, you can feel it actually on your stomach.
And I don't know what, I don't know why. Roman asked me in his interview. I remember my hands went up, and I bladed slightly, and next thing I knew, I draw. It is the smoothest draw I've ever done in my life. And before I knew it, I got 2 shots over here.
Yeah.
We're so close that there's contact burns on him.
So, okay, so that was that close, and it was center of body mass.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't looking at the sights, didn't even see the sights.
Oh.
You're not aiming.
Yeah.
So your arm was sort of extended like that.
So, sort of retention. You can't remember.
It was just the gun was out and it was there. Okay. So we can talk about shooting from there and retention, that sort of thing.
You don't even know, it just came out.
Pushed forward. I believe I shot
2 shots.
tweets here, center of mass. I believe there's another one up here, and then I believe there's another one there. But I fired more shots. But I don't know why, I also went forward. Okay. And that I attribute to some of the SAS combatives that we've done. Just go for it. I don't know why, it's what I did. And on the way forward, I felt my leg get knocked out from underneath me. So I thought, okay, I've been hit.
So when did he start shooting? Shortly after or what?
Shortly after. I got off about 5 shots before he started shooting.
Okay.
But a lot of these shots went up the driveway, and then there's about 3 shots. You can check my walls. It went into the concrete wall, into my garage, and then my shots went towards him, through him, and then up and out the driveway. There's actually one in my gate over there, okay? And so So I landed on him, and this is the interesting thing. When I...
Because you were shot in the hand, so at that stage you dropped your firearm. You don't know.
That's the next thing. So I go from sheer terror to the shooting. When the shooting starts, it's
clear mind, slow
clear
down.
mind, everything. There's no TACSHAC, nothing. Although on the way down now, I'm falling like that.
Yeah.
But I realized that my arm is out here. Okay, I don't know if the camera can see. My arm is literally out here, as if you're falling with your arm out. And I remember pulling that trigger like mad, and I'm not hearing any shooting. And honestly, Lynette, I remember thinking, if this is that lemon dream where you pull the trigger and the gun falls apart or the bullet just drips out of the barrel, I've got no time for this. I remember being there. And then I landed on him, and he tried to bring the gun around on me. Also, going back to our sports adventure combatives, put your hand underneath the barrel. I twisted it out.
Yeah.
My one friend who was at the scene said that there was actually a fire doppy in the chamber. So I can't recall, as I got it out.
It caused the stoppage in the gun.
He pulled the trigger.
And
I just don't remember that.
And the slide, you got a stoppage.
Yeah, exactly. You got a stoppage. That's what I think. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then he, like you say, and then he literally looked at me, and then just like in the movies with that last breath, and he died. He's dead. So it's 2 shots. He was, I would say.
One of our viewers are asking, was there any other interaction between you and the attacker? Did he speak to you? Did you shout at him, or was it just action?
I screamed in a girly voice, "No!" and my hands went up. I got such a fright. It's like, no, you think this? It's frightening. But there was no other word that came through, and there was some other people down the driveway as well.
So, but they just went after the first shots.
Literally, it's like I've got that freeze frame image of 2 people sort of making a sprint for it, like 2 emojis, so to speak.
Yeah,
and
I understand.
They were in 2 vehicles, and I'm told that it was mixed race, black and white.
Yeah, you don't know who's your enemies and who's your friends. That's it. You have to.
And your friends are literally those people around you, your neighbors.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, how many shots were fired in total between the 2 of you?
Okay, I got hit 5 times, 6, 7, 8. I think he fired about 8 or 9 shots.
Yeah.
I fired 4 or 5 that hit him, plus I had another 3 or 4 up the driveway and out the driveway.
Okay.
So I was told I fired 12 shots. I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I can't remember. Maybe one of my buddies on the live stream, if they see it, they'll
be able to
tell. But I think I know 4 counted.
Okay. So nothing went through your mind. It just get the job done.
Yeah. Once it started, and to me, this is the mystery. How do you go from being totally on the back foot, totally surprised and overwhelmed by shock, to that? I don't know, because that's what you want to train for.
Yeah, you do.
Because think of it, we civilians, we're not out there looking for a fight, so the fight's going to come to you, and you are going to be on the back foot. You're not expecting it.
Absolutely. So you have to go through scenarios and stuff. That's what I tell people, because you have to sometimes expect it. But you say you were in white because condition white.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very difficult to actually go into a situation like that. You don't want to. That's the last thing you want to do. I always say to the people, avoid when I do training. But last resort, if you have to fight with everything you have.
You must have a reason to fight as well. Because
Yeah.
you must understand, this guy that tried to kill me, him and his buddies, they're probably very good at fighting.
Yeah.
And every time you fight, whether you win or lose, if you survive it, you're better trained than last time.
Absolutely.
Okay? And so, to me, often, if you look at our sports adventure logo, in the middle it's white. That's about your heart. This is about, you must be the good guy.
Yeah.
Anybody can go be a bully and train to intimidate other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're doing it for a reason. It's for yourself, because if you don't get home tonight, well, at the very least, your mom, dad, brothers and sisters are going to be sad. They'll be standing at the grave.
Yeah.
And if you're married with kids, well, somebody else might be raising your kids.
That's absolutely.
Yes.
It's not, I always say to people, you're not there to, don't carry the gun to shoot somebody.
Never.
You carry the gun as your last resort to defend yourself.
Exactly.
That's
everything else has failed.
Absolutely.
Everything else has failed.
Okay, would you have done anything different in hindsight, do you think?
We have been, when the shooting had stopped and I'd landed, I knew the fight was over, but I didn't prepare. You know, like sometimes when we're training, you're meant to scan. Check what's going on around you, go 360.
Get off the X, look left, look right.
I just thought, okay, I saw my gun lying there, I saw his gun lying there, and now you start understanding, well, something's happened. If they'd come back, they could have easily come back up the driveway and taken me on. And then my gun was lying over there. His gun was lying there. I just went in, okay, the gun, this is over.
Yeah.
But I didn't say what happens if there's so-called a counter-attack or something like that. Obviously, just keeping my gate closed. A simple thing like keeping your gate closed.
Absolutely.
Because we think what happened is that these people, they scout the area. They know that, for instance, it was dustbin day in our area.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, maybe this guy's putting it out nice and early in the morning. And it looks like a nice house. Let's see what we can get there.
Yes, we also had a home invasion a good couple of years ago. You always look back and think maybe I could do something different and train slightly different to actually deal with the situation a bit better.
These people, they come in to terrorize us, and it's wrong. You know, one of my pet peeves is when you hear somebody's been a victim of crime, and I've been a victim. All of us have been victims at some point. And you hear they were so professional, like there's a cash in transit, and you say they're not professional, they're scum. They cannot come into your house and do that to you or your family. Now, get your game face on. Okay, do some training, do some preparation. Like you say, go through some scenarios. What if? And that'll help you a lot. I think one of the good ways to train without even leaving the desk is what's that active self-protection that one guy in America, and he shows you, watch hands, watch eyes.
Absolutely.
What they're doing. And then you start to see guys walking in, and his purposelessness, you know, and the hands they look uncomfortable, they're self-conscious almost. Yeah. And I think that helps a lot.
It does, so situational awareness, that's absolutely important. This guy, it was not his first rodeo.
I was told by the officer that's inspecting it, he'd be linked to 4 or 5, 6 other crimes.
So he's used to winning.
Yeah. And I believe one of his relatives was in the police. I believe one of the crimes was an attempted murder of a policeman. One was murder. He'd spent time in jail. I'm going to find out all these facts for myself one day. Yeah. Okay. I just want to get my firearm back in one piece.
Absolutely.
At this point, but
it's in the Section 13 store at this stage, eh? Yeah. Okay. How did your family? We did talk a little bit about your daughter, but were they traumatized? Were you traumatized? I always feel that if you win the fight, it makes a big difference. But
I cannot agree with you more. You know, I think if you want to develop a sort of a mindset to go into these things, I cannot recommend Jeff Cooper's books highly enough. Yeah. He's old school, and he writes beautifully. He really writes beautifully. So, but I remember once he was talking about victory. It's where the sky's bluer and the air is just that much sweeter and the beer tastes so much nicer. I agree with you. I've been a victim, not once, a couple of times. Once with those the AK-47s, and that took me a lot longer to get over than this. Okay, my daughters, in that sense, we had. I'm a member of AfriForum, and they were fantastic. They responded, but I'd also built relationships with the guys. They were there within minutes. They also arranged for the ambulance with the security companies, Fox and CPS, to get me going to the hospital. And AfriForum had a counselor come and see them and chat and everything. But I don't think it was too much counselling necessary. Yeah. I think, obviously, if I died, that might have been different.
Absolutely.
And the toughest thing for all of us It was this freaking COVID and its stupid rules. I'm lying in hospital.
And that you couldn't see your family.
Yeah, they stand there at the glass, and my word, you see your daughters and your wife. I was angry.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
How long were you in hospital for?
This is the next thing. I went in on the 6th, and I was there for probably 8 or 9 days.
Okay.
Okay, I went through 2 or 3 ops, I think.
Yeah.
And they weren't really operations. The bullets missed everything vital.
Yeah.
And they missed everything vital. You know.
It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
It is.
you know, so it's, aside from like a drop foot, which I wear a brace for, it wasn't really that bad. The morphine, because of the groin injuries and that to the scrotum, jeepers, that started to really hurt after about an hour. And then the morphine comes along, but morphine's not a nice mistress.
No.
I think by the 2nd or 3rd day, you don't go to hospitals to get better. They patch you and then you must go home because there's no rest. And the noise and that, and the morphine, it sent me into a real dark, dark place. And eventually, after 1 or 2 good nights sleep, and I please begged them, no more morphine. I'd rather put up with the pain. Things not nice. Eh?
No, I've never had it, so I wouldn't know.
There's people that I've heard, guys who've been in big accidents and that, even the one chap I interviewed, he'd been shot in the face. He says he was seeing lizards coming over the wall, or the one guy's like spiders coming towards him. It's like, it's hectic. Eh?
I think it's better to get home with family and stuff as soon as possible.
Yeah, that is extremely emotional for me, the first day home. That was just like sweet. Eh?
Absolutely
that was awesome,
fantastic. So, did you do a stop the bleed course? When did you start feeling pain? Because when did you realize this is actually hurting?
It's a good question. When I, on the way forward and on the way down, I felt I'd been hit. It was like a seriously bad punch into the leg, and the leg collapsed. But you feel like it's been hit, just that the nerve isn't holding it anymore. So now I lay there, I pulled myself up after everything, and then I started to go into shock. There's a lot of blood, and I thought it was only the one wound that I had. Whereas it was 3 over here, okay? My hand, obviously, I knew about the bullet that entered there, so his muzzle was there. I actually had pieces of his powder in my finger, and it exited there and it went through my shoulder.
Sure.
So this wasn't so sore. Yeah, you know, when we do training and they say, well, put a tourniquet on with one hand. You know, I couldn't do it. And my wife had to unbuckle the tourniquet and put it around and then crank it down. Then, after about 10 minutes, the tourniquet started to hurt. But Lynette, the tourniquet hurts.
Yeah.
I was begging JP, my friend and Dirk who were there. I begged them to take this thing off, and they wouldn't.
Said no.
They would know. Anyway, the medic came there, and
how long did it take for the ambulance?
So
or medic?
6:03, 6:20, I think the medics were there, and
that's good.
And I'd done the stop the bleed, so I realized the importance of stopping the bleeding, and I had the right gear to do it.
Yeah.
But I hadn't realized that I had 3 wounds here. I thought it was just the one, because there was like a ragged hole in my pants, like a classic bullet hole. So I wasn't aware of the other 2. And when I got there, the doctor said, listen, you've been shot in the balls. I went, no ways. No ways. And then after about 15 minutes, I'd say that at 6:03, about 10 to 7, you start feeling that this is sore now. And you start to, it's just like, I can't describe it, it's just all over.
Yeah.
And then you suddenly feel this, just pressure that was taken away.
So tell me, do you think you would have survived this if you didn't have a gun? And do you think your family would have survived it? Because they don't usually stop with one person. No. They usually go inside the house, and that is what really would have worried me.
That was, you know, afterwards I would have like a sinking feeling. What if I didn't? What if I just got such a fright that I was overwhelmed?
Yeah. And
I surrendered? And it's like on a knife edge. It's you know, they say a fight or flight, but it's fright, flight, or fight.
Yeah.
Okay. And so your fight or flight is going to be informed by the fright you get. Can you push through that? And I have this thing what they would have done to my daughters.
Yeah.
And to
that
my
would
wife.
worry me as well.
in order to me to prevail without a gun, I would have had to wrestle the gun out of his hand. I suppose I could have tried. I have done disarming drills. I just defaulted to the weapon and attack.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know what? If I had died defending my family, I think all guys should be able to. That's a good death.
Yeah. No. I believe as such, if I have to defend myself or a family member, I would be prepared to die for that.
Exactly.
So
you've got to have something to live for, and then you're going to kill me. You better have a darn good reason.
Absolutely. Legally, I know your weapon is still at SAPS. Is there any other things that's happening?
No.
So your weapon was taken in straight away by the investigating.
The scene was so it was 6:03 when it started. The police, I think, only arrived at about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and they cleared away 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. They cleared away the corpse. Okay. And they picked up all the doppies and all that sort of.
Where was the guns left there?
They were left there when my friends got on the scene. They disarmed them, put them to one side. So I suppose that's messing with the crime scene, but make it safe.
But 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock, that's a very long time.
Yeah, and what happens then the medics come in, and a doppie rolls here, and then a doppie rolls there.
Exactly, yeah.
Funny thing, I was busy spraying a humanoid target on my driveway, so there's like a white outline, and my mom came to visit, and she thought that was the
chalk.
The chalk outline.
Yeah. Tell me, what do you think about the proposed amendments? Or should I not even ask?
Lynette, I think I said to Ramon on his interview on Morning Shot that legalese is just, it's boring to me, paint dries, but I understand it's important. In 2000, I went down to Parliament as a private citizen saying this, that, and other. You could almost say that I was a soothsayer. We were all saying it, I went as a private citizen. And all I did was on the intentions of the act, what the proposals or the goals. Well, here we are, 21 years later, and we're just so much closer.
Absolutely.
And the way these people are going to work is that, okay, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
It's communism.
Exactly, it's Marxism. They're very, very clever. So we think they're going to lay off. They're not. They're just going to come around from another angle the whole time.
Because the biggest thing was about the Section 13, but that's not the only problem with it. It starts with the preamble already, which says basically it's from right to life, natural law, to positive law, where other people will decide for you, and all of the control goes to the state. So massive problems.
Without trying to be, I had a thug come and try to take my guns away, my life away, my property and my family. Whether the thug is in a uniform or in a civilian clothes, what's the difference? They're still a thug. My heart aches for those good policemen, and I count many among my friends and as customers, and then they have to decide whether they're actually going to enforce these laws. Okay? I was in the commandos for a while back in 2000, and we'd go out and you'd be informed he has illegal guns and drugs and all that sort of thing. And you find a guy who's running a little spaza shop, and he's got an illegal gun. But that's his only self-defense. I don't know how he got it, like if it's stolen property or what. But this guy's now got nothing to defend himself with. And I felt for that, okay.
I do feel for them as well, because it's very prohibitive, the whole process.
Exactly.
Personally, if you have a shack, you can't put a safe in. And we've been actually talking about this whole story between Paul and myself, and Gosa is looking at that. Because it's not that easy to get a gun. That guy he's not a thug, he just wants to defend himself. So it's a very difficult question.
Then why should you be denied that right? Yeah, there are certain crimes that should deny you the right to carry and use a firearm.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's sensible. But if you haven't, if you go through some sort of training or something like that, why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Is there any other questions that needs to be answered, Hannes? Anything else? Nothing?
Training preps? No.
Nothing else. Okay, anything else that you would like to add?
I'd just like to thank you very much to the work that you and Paul and Gosa are doing.
Thank you very much.
I think if we're all busy fighting on different fronts,
absolutely.
Okay, whether it's each one teach one, I call it the gospel of the gun, get out there, let people know we have to win the hearts and minds.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I do quite a bit of work with Ghosts of Girls on Fire to try and get ladies involved in shooting and people that haven't been involved before. And you do it through that Each One Teach One.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, and we'll probably chat about one of your other endeavours very soon.
Thanks, Lynette.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.